welcome to, what is this, some kind of Joker's trick?
We live in a society.
We are the bad guys.
It's what we do. Worst podcast ever.
Hey, we're not gonna hurt you. We're just gonna hurt you real bad.
We're not the worst ever because this episode isn't Yolt. This is the Yolt, which makes us the better version.
Well, this episode's going to be so bad, we're going to have to reboot as The Yolt.
The Yolt.
But also, our reboot will still be a direct sequel to this movie and have many references to it. So it's like, what?
And it's also going to be the part of a new continuity.
Yes, I was reading today, people were like, yeah, if Peacemaker and The Suicide Squad are DCU canon, then that means this movie still somehow must be.
Oh, yeah.
canon.
I mean, I'll be very disappointed if Jared Leto doesn't show up in the new Superman movie, going, doing his Jaguar noises.
All right, we should introduce ourselves. I'm Joke.
I'm damaged.
And I'm an idea. I can finally say it.
Did you watch the idea cut of Suicide Squad?
I'm an idea.
I did. I hate you. I'm just more of this movie is just like less of my life.
But we should also talk about today we're talking about Suicide Squad.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
All my friends and heathens.
How many cuts? We have the theatrical cut, the extended cut, the hypothetical air cut, the idea cut, the black and white cut, the uncut cut, the cut.
The Katana cut.
This is Katana!
It's all
What?
this is Katana. She's got my back.
So, do we all agree that like on 2016 there were two movies that when they came out there were a bunch of people that were like, this is fucking rad, and then a few months later they're like, I'm gonna get hooked on opioids, which are like
Hey,
this and the Star Wars the Rogue One movie where everyone was like, oh wait, this actually sucks.
I thought you were talking about Batman v Superman.
I thought you were talking about Sing Street.
Well, I feel like Batman v Superman actually, like, everyone hated pretty much. This one, I remember so many YouTubers that I won't name that were like, this is a pretty fucking awesome movie. And then I watch it and I'm like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Well, this is a movie that's geared just for teenagers. Like,
Yeah.
if I'd imagine if you're, because I have a cousin who's, a little bit younger. She was a teenager when this came out, and she became obsessed with Harley Quinn after this movie. So it spoke to a very specific generation. It spoke in the way that like Hocus Pocus speaks to
The
our
movie of a
generation. Yeah, it kind of, because everybody thought
The
it was
Hot
so
Topic generation.
cool.
No, yeah, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
my grandparents' generation was defined by famine and war, and this generation is defined by another kind of famine and war. Suicide
The
Squad.
Suicide Squad theatrical cut. No, it was funny because, again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but this movie's kind of weird because we should not be talking about a Suicide Squad movie on a Joker podcast because in the comics, the Joker has nothing to do with Suicide Squad. But for some reason, DC decided we're going to make this the first live action Joker and Harley movie. And that's when the whole world got wet.
And oh boy, is the Joker in this movie. He's not part of the Suicide Squad, and you can tell that they cut a bunch of him from this, but he's still in this quite a bit. Like,
Technically, legally speaking, the Joker is in the theatrical cut of Suicide Squad. And that's why Jared Leto still has second billing, despite not needing to be in the movie.
He has like maybe
he does nothing. No.
not even 15 minutes of screen time, but within that, there's like 40 scenes that are like fragments.
It's like the Hannibal Lecter thing where it's like you don't see him that much, but his performance is so strong and singular that it stays
Yes.
with you.
Well, it's the Joker problem. It's like if you made a Batman movie that had the Riddler, the Penguin, and the Catwoman as the villain, and you cut out a bunch of Joker scenes, but the only thing anyone's going to care about are those deleted Joker scenes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I should specify when I say strong performance, it doesn't equate to good. It just means strong in your
I
in your
wouldn't even go
face.
that far.
I mean, he's damaged.
We all know it's not good, right? Like,
Yeah, so fun fact, listeners, until 2016, I thought the Joker was an impossible character to screw up. You could not do a bad version of the Joker. Sure, the Batman's Joker was a weird ninja monkey guy. That was kind of weird. How he like knew kung fu.
oh yeah, that was weak. He was barefoot. That was fucking
Yeah, and he
gross.
had like Rastafarian
Oh, right.
hair.
Yeah, I'm like, put those stinkers away, Joker. Tell
And then
me a
later
joke.
in the show, they like put him in the suit, but he still didn't wear shoes. And I was like, all
He's
right.
like wearing a suit, but he's still walking on all fours.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Kevin Michael Richardson did a good performance, but like it was a weird take. But I'm like, you know what? He's still Joker. Young
Yeah.
Justice, Data's Joker. He had a weird knife thing, but that was fine.
Literally, this movie started the curse. Like, now it's hard to come across a good Joker.
Yeah, no, now the Joker just sucks. This movie like killed the Joker.
Whoa.
No, the dream is
let's
alive.
not
The
go
dream
that
is
far.
alive.
This movie did what Batman never could. He killed the Joker.
But in order to really talk about his role or diminished role in the movie, we got to talk about the production of
Yes.
2016's Suicide Squad.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
The third movie in the most successful franchise of all time.
So there was a movie called The Man of Steel that Christopher Nolan produced and did a grim and gritty Superman, and no one liked it, and it barely broke even, but they decided to double down and make more movies in this universe.
For generations to come, historians will look back on the decision to double down on Man of Steel and spend 3 full years watching Zack Snyder assemble this movie that's called Batman v Superman.
Dawn of Justice.
Yes.
Because they go to court. They technically do go to court in that movie.
They blow court up.
Yeah. With piss? Right?
Yes.
No,
Repeat.
this is
I
a
don't quite
decoy.
remember it.
Lex Luthor, and we should maybe talk about if the DCEU Lex Luthor is more of a Joker than the DCEU.
Yes, the answer
Joker.
is yes.
Yes,
The answer is
he
yes.
objectively is. He
Yes.
breaks out of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, and he kills all these people with the use of explosive paraplegic man.
Yes, he reversed Barbara Gordon's them.
Yeah. And he's doing all the weird ticks and he's laughing and cracking jokes.
And he's wearing cool suits.
And he has a wig.
Yeah.
And he's doing the Heath Ledger voice and coming up with the
No, actually, didn't we do the joke, Jake, that when you put on your Joker wig for our trailer, we were like, oh my God, you look like Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
I'm channeling Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, who's actually the Joker. Who's more jokery than Jared Leto's Joker.
I think he even hates Batman more than Jared Leto's Joker.
The thing is that all of this happened very quickly.
Yes.
Around
This was greenlit.
2014.
Yeah.
Around,
Even
yeah.
before that, right?
The film was announced in early 2014. I remember because we had a college radio show at the time, and Paul was like, they announced some kind of Suicide Squad movie. I don't know what this is. And I'm like, oh, that's a good comic book about a bunch of villains who are hired by the government to like go on dangerous missions. That could be really good. And Paul's like, first Suicide Squad, now Deadpool. They're really running out of these superhero comics to make movies. They'll never
And
be hit.
years later, it's still going. They're like, Zack Snyder, we want you to be the creative head of the DC universe, and we'll pretty much
The
build
DC
everything around it.
extended universe.
Yeah, the DCEU at this point. And at the same time, they enlist. Okay, in 2014, David Ayer makes Fury.
Mediocre.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Fury fan, but David Ayer has had a career spanning, like years beforehand. He wrote Fast and the Furious. He wrote Training Day famously.
He had that weird cop movie.
End of Watch, which I heard is good.
I watched it. I was like, it's odd. I don't know if it's good.
Okay.
It's kind of like District 9 where it starts found footage and then it becomes like real movie, but it's like with cops. I don't get it. I don't like.
That was the first Air project I encountered, and I thought it was all right, but I have not revisited it. That was a long ago. I'm an old
Many
man
moons.
now.
We were young men.
He
Yeah.
directed Street Kings, End of Watch, Sabotage, which was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's first movie post his
Oh, that ruled. Yeah.
governorship.
That was
The
rad.
thing about David Ayer is he's from the streets.
We speak the same language, so we're both from the streets.
Yeah.
The important thing we've learned is that whenever you have someone come in with an idea for a movie with the Joker in it, and they say that they're from the streets, you know you're in for a good time.
And then you see a picture of them, and they look like David Ayer. You're like, I'm ready. Give me what you got. You know, like.
I want you to be horrified. It's way the streets.
Well, we should talk about the brand of David Ayer, because
Oh
a lot
my
of the
God.
movies he made, he ended up moving to LA when he was a teenager, lived around South Central, joined the Navy.
Just like us, Jake.
Yeah, we also lived around something.
We all come from the streets.
I mean, we literally ran into David Ayer around
In
South
in
Central.
a street. Yes, exactly. No, but his movies are all about, you know, he's trying to make himself like the new Sam Peckinpah or something like that, you know, where it's just like a mixture of gangster, militarism, and cops.
Lots of guns.
Yeah.
Guns.
Movies about masculinity, you know.
Is that what his movies are about? I thought his movies were about tanks.
So he gets picked up to do this movie, so because this is a big superhero movie, it's kind of catered to his brand.
And again, this is the third movie in the DCEU. Like, and when Marvel was at its third movie, they were doing like Iron Man 2.
Yes.
DC went from introducing all the Justice League to Suicide Squad.
All the villains who
Yeah.
have been around for years,
And
seemingly.
mainly only fight Batman.
Which we gotta mention, like, yeah, the rollout of this franchise was just so forced and embarrassing. Just the scene in Batman v Superman where, like, we're introduced to the Justice League through security footage.
Yes, through an email attachment.
Each with their own logos, and there's security footage of, like, underwater in the Mariana Trench and Aquaman just looking at the camera.
And it looks like Jason Momoa is like about to drown. Like he's like looking into the camera, and you just think he's gonna
He
pass
has
out
his
any
cheek
second.
swollen, and he's like purple. He's like,
Jake, I can attest that Jake lost his shit during that part of the movie because I was sitting next to him and he almost killed me.
Jake would not stop talking about this movie for like a year. He was so angry at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those movies where I'm just like, oh my god, you could just make something that is just so miserable to sit through and so incompetent also.
Where nothing happens. I cannot emphasize enough how little happens in any cut of Batman v Superman.
Unlike Suicide Squad, which
Where even less happens.
So they are shooting Suicide Squad around the same time as they're doing Batman v Superman. The trailer premieres at Hall H in 2015.
They've already shown the first peek of the Joker, which nobody liked.
Yeah, they'd already shown the picture that is probably going to be the thumbnail of this video of Jared Leto with his hands over his head, screaming into the camera, covered in tats. And everybody was just like, what the hell is
yeah.
this?
So I think I told you this once, Jake. The day I saw that picture of the new Joker, it was my first day in USC, and it was an omen of things to come.
It was just like,
Welcome to LA.
Welcome to the film industry, baby.
yeah, the most interesting time where it's just like, all right, I can't wait.
Wait, Jan, did you come to USC after Donald Trump announced he was running for president?
Oh yeah, no, I
my
time
God.
these things deliberately. Also, my first day at work was when the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie dropped, and now I moved again, and we're getting a new Joker. I mean, I have just impeccable timing.
I know.
I am one with this country.
You have come at the right times where there's a society in America.
If you don't naturalize me after pulling this shit every time I move to America, what are you even doing as a country? God damn it.
Yeah.
That picture was disturbing, and I was like, what the hell? And people were shitting about the Jared Leto casting, but I was like, well, we must remember we shot on Heath Ledger, and Jared Leto had just won an Oscar, and he's really good in some movies like Requiem for a Dream.
Jared Leto playing the Joker is way more similar to Jack Nicholson playing the Joker than Heath Ledger playing the Joker, because he had won an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. He was a rock star at the time, I believe.
Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars was a thing.
I've never heard any of their songs.
They're bad. They're not good. This was before, let's call it Joker Shima, where it's like this movie was just a fucking it was so traumatic for Jared Leto's career that he went from like everyone likes him to now literally he's like the face of cringe.
Yes.
Was this his first movie after winning the Oscar? Like, was this inevitable? Do we think no matter what Jared Leto would have done, like if he had just done Mr. Nobody, would he have just flown under the radar?
Well, it's interesting. Like, they say that the MCU is like, going to court for like jury duty for actors. And that's maybe true, but then maybe like the Joker is like jury duty for actors that think that they're like artists. You know what I mean?
That was the interesting thing about the build up to this is when Jared Leto was playing the Joker, this was the first time, because Heath Ledger had won an Oscar for it. Now playing the Joker was serious business. It wasn't just a ha ha ho ho, let's get Luke Skywalker to do it. Now, like, I love the tweet that's like, since Hamlet, the most challenging role an actor can play is the clown who fights Batman.
It's something that everyone has to do. But yeah, it's like even with the terrible picture, you're still kind of like Jared Leto. It's not completely out of left field. You know, he's always done like weird parts, like fucking Chapter 27 where he played
Mark David Chapman.
Yes, he did.
He gained like 150 pounds for the role.
He even read Catcher in the Rye. That's a fucking actor right there that he was willing to read that.
And if that doesn't make you prepared for the Joker, I don't know what will. So he had already been doing roles where he's challenging himself. And
we have to also acknowledge how much of the reaction to his Joker also came with the behind the scenes stories that came out before the movie came out about how method he went.
Because there's something about this Joker that I don't know how to say it. I'm trying too hard to find the words. You know, I'm trying too hard. I'm not sure how to say it. It's like it's too try hard. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Effortless is what you're saying.
Very effortless. Completely invisible acting.
This is an interesting thing. So obviously when making this movie, one of the first choices a director makes when working in a cinematic universe is, what is my version of the character that I'm going to do and then leave DC and Warner Brothers to use for 10 years? Yes. What is my take on Joker and Harley Quinn?
Because this is like your take, but it also has to be like the official cinematic take, at least for the next like 20 years.
So
exactly.
Someone at a Q&A may have asked David Ayer this question at the time, because this man, who I know very well, had some concerns about the direction of the Joker and Harley Quinn based on that picture.
I don't imagine why.
And this man, who I know very well, he asked him at this Q&A, David Ayer, you did a very radical take on the Joker by making him just a generic gangbanger. Are you okay? Like, how did DC Warner Brothers okay that decision, considering this is the version of the Joker they hypothetically want to use for the next 10 years? And David Ayer's like, yeah, I just do whatever I want. And then the moderator, who was known to this man and to me, he's like, no, but how'd you get that approved? I've worked with DC. They're very protective of their characters. How did you get your take on the Joker approved? And he's like, and David Ayer went, look, this movie is a freight train. They can't stop me. I wrote the script in 2 weeks. We got to make our release date. They don't have any input in what I'm doing.
Don't you just love the magic of movie making?
Yes.
Don't you?
No one can stop me.
They didn't have time to stop me. They couldn't stop me. We needed to make the date.
This movie was a freight train.
The Warner Brothers shareholders were very nervous about the dates. The magic of movie making.
Yay! And that's why we got to put a damage tattoo on it.
And that's how we now have superhero franchise films that may never come out because they take 7 or 8 years because they're not going to let this happen again.
Yeah. Gotham City Sirens, baby. Waiting for
Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Yeah, but it's funny because, David Ayer's take on the Joker, he's just like, well, What was the Joker back in the day? He was a gangster. What is a gangster now?
Back in the day of Gotham City.
Back in the
Does
40s.
he think the Joker's a real person?
I think in his mind, he thinks everyone in Suicide Squad is a real person, even Incubus.
He was thinking like, how do I update the 30s style gangster that the Joker is molded on? I think he just watched Batman 89 and he took that cue. He's like, how do I update it? And then he looked at Tekashi 6ix9ine and was like, that's who the Joker is going to be. He's going to be an Instagram.
He's gonna be Lil Pump, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But the man is like 50 years old, which is embarrassing.
Again, the
Yes.
Joker, the thing with the Joker is many things. He's a philosopher, a clown, a comedian,
A
a
prophet.
moral dilemma, an inventor, a chemist, an artist. Him being a criminal is like the most boring thing about him. So, of course, that's where he puts all his chips.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, the whole intimidation that comes with the Joker is that he's just a fucking clown. And clowns are fucking scary. Like, the fact that he's just dressing like a clown and smiling, that's fucking creepy. If you start maybe, what's the word? Trying a little too hard, you know?
Yeah.
And just like trying to scare people by writing damaged on your forehead and wearing grits. And, you know, if you actually can tattoo ha 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 on your body, you're not that crazy. I'm not
Yeah.
that scared by
No,
you.
even in the movie, Amanda Waller's like Harley Quinn. She's crazier than him. And I'm
I'm like,
like,
yeah, it's not hard to believe. Yeah. Her tattoos look shitty. I believe
Yeah.
she's
Well,
crazy.
this was at a certain point watching this film, which actually, for the record, I had never fully seen, no matter how many times Jake tried to submit it to me.
Wait, you never watched the whole thing?
I couldn't take it. I averted my eyes.
Paul did not watch the movie that defined an entire
It
generation.
defined
Yes.
a generation, and it definitely defined Jake's apartment in college because, I mean, for a while that place, the pad, was known as the den of darkness, where you would just screen the DCEU films on a
Over
loop.
and over again,
over
yes.
and over.
Especially Justice
And
League.
paying the full rental price every single time.
but never buying it. Never buying the film.
No,
You
that
see,
would be too
now I
embarrassing.
see why Paul is such a demanding producer with our stupid podcast, because the kind of movies he knows is like Citizen Kane and The Dark Knight. And then he sees this and he's like, but Jake, Troy, and I were born in the darkness and molded by it. So
Yes.
we don't
We
care
have
that
damage tattooed on our foreheads. So
But at a certain point with this film, as I began to get a little bit shiftless, I started playing the game with myself of, could I imagine anything that he's doing, Heath Ledger doing? Like, could I imagine Heath Ledger in a room with ha 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 just written on the wall, you know?
covered in knives.
It's not even Heath Ledger. Can you imagine Jack Nicholson or
yeah,
Mark
Cesar
Hamill or
Romero
Cesar Romero
wouldn't do
even
that.
doing any of this?
Could you, okay, but here's the question. Could you imagine Cesar Romero propositioning Common to fuck Harley Quinn and then shooting him afterward?
Well, to be fair, yeah, that's a very Cesar Romero thing to do. Of like, here, you want to fuck my wife? No, shoots. Like,
Cesar Romero had a wife?
Anyway, so we should talk about more of the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, there was a bunch of the stories of Jared Leto's antics on set. I think Will Smith is quoted, you can't go full Joker to play Joker, and Jared went full Joker.
Jared, he went full Joker, you know. And the rule generally is never go full Joker.
I think Will Smith has said he didn't meet Jared Leto until after shooting Wrapped.
I don't think anyone met him.
Okay, that sounds impressive, but then you watch both the movie and the extended cut, and you realize he shares no scenes with anyone other than Margot Robbie and Ike Barinholtz.
No.
So I guess they just didn't meet him. Like,
I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, he's gonna be the bad guy of sorts." No,
Well, in the original cut of the movie, Joker
wait, there were
was supposed
multiple
to.
cuts of this. This movie?
Yes, surprisingly, there's
The most
there's
smoothly
multiple.
edited movie of all time. It had different cuts originally.
Yeah, believe it or not. I mean, I know it flies by.
And all these cuts totally exist and are not David Ayer desperately trying to save his reputation after making one of the worst movies of all time.
Well, this is why I conducted research beforehand. And,
oh no.
Jake's trying to get to the bottom of this. Why is this movie so shit?
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I found out.
What I found out is he wrote the movie in 2 weeks.
Well, here's the thing, is that Joker was supposed to come back at the end and was supposed to join up with Enchantress, because in the trailers and behind the scenes footage, there was him in the tuxedo that he wears in the helicopter and his face is all burnt.
Oh yeah.
And it was supposed to be a thing. And David Ayer has talked about this, where initially Harley Quinn was going to have the choice of saving Joker or being on Joker's side or saving her friends.
What friends?
Fucking Diablo says they're a family now because they walked around in a city, god damn it.
Also, what the fuck is Joker gonna do? Like, the Enchantress is like a god. And
Yeah,
he's
why
like,
does she need this Joker?
I don't know, because he's an idea, Jen, that's why.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
But-
you know what? You know what? Who's gonna help Cthulhu take over the world? Lil Pump.
Exactly. No, but this was the initial idea, which kind of makes sense if you're thinking about it slightly. Or you're just like, okay, that's something rather than absolutely nothing with the
This
Joker.
sounds like you're being Martha pilled, where you think the Martha thing is a good idea.
I'm not being Martha pilled. And then also in my research, in this John Bernthal interview with David Ayer, he says it was the worst period of his life afterward, like creatively. But the one thing that he's happy about, he was able to sneak a version of his work print cut out of the studio. And he says that he screens it for anyone who wants to go over to his house and watch it.
And the thing is, I have it. I fucking have a copy of it, right? If I didn't, oh my God, because everyone I've shown the cut has the same reaction. Rage. This is the movie we wanted. Why didn't we get this?
Wow.
Right?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I'm also calling bullshit on that.
This is my proposition. David Ayer, if you're listening to this,
Your proposition?
if you invite us over to your house,
Prove us wrong. Yeah, prove me and Troy wrong.
because I'm willing to believe you. They might not be, but let's see the Ayer cut. Let us into your house and show it to us.
Or we will do it by force. Yeah.
I don't guarantee we'll like it. In fact, probably all the problems that we have with the movie will still be there, but I am curious to see.
You can't convince me that the Snyder cut, everyone's like, the Snyder cut totally exists. It did not exist. He had to reshoot the whole thing. There's no way the Ayer cut exists. There's no way there's a cut of this with just...
The same movie with extended scenes.
Our trusty source, Wikipedia, reported that David Ayer apparently not at the beginning of production, but I guess sometime in post recruited famed editor Lee Smith, who had edited such films as The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yes.
To cut this movie. And that is the cut that he presented to the studio. And they said, this is the most depressing thing we've ever seen.
Yeah, well, here's what happened. They made the movie exactly how they were going to make it. They had an editor already in there. I'm not remembering his name. He quits. Lee Smith comes in. They do their cut. This is around the time Deadpool comes out. And it's just like, oh, we need something funny. And they already had the funny trailer.
And Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy was 2 years before.
To be clear, this whole movie is made in the shadow of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's part of why DC feels confident putting it early.
Basically what happens is, yeah, Deadpool comes out in February, and they already have, I think the lighthearted Bohemian Rhapsody trailer came out, and that was a success. But then the biggest thing that happened was Batman v Superman comes out, is a commercial disappointment, drops like 64% in its second weekend.
Like the worst word of mouth of all time.
And the worst word of mouth of all time, because it was the most miserable, depressing, hollow, misshapen, fucked up movie like ever made.
They didn't see Batman and Superman fight. They saw Superman like caressing wheat for 2 hours.
Yeah, basically. So then the studio got nervous and was like, oh no, we need to rejigger the movie. And they tried to get David Ayer involved, and
They got Trailer Park involved?
yes, they got Trailer Park involved. So they had David Ayer's cut, and they enlisted the trailer house behind the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer, Trailer Park, to cut their own version of the movie, and they had 2 test screenings, and they would determine which cut would win. Neither one won. So then they decided, what if we took moments from both cuts and put them together and made this Frankenstein mess of a movie that at sometimes feels like a trailer and at sometimes feels like a bunch of depressed people walking in a street.
Brilliant. Well, I have a lot of movies that are edited like trailers, mostly Baz Luhrmann movies that I really like. But I think if you're gonna do a movie like that, you need an insane amount of vision and preparation. You can't just like have a movie and just make a 2-hour-long trailer out of that raw footage.
Yeah. Well, and you got to just make do with what you have.
This kind of cuts to the core dilemma of Suicide Squad was it a labor of love where everyone made art and they got little Suicide Squad tattoos? Or was it a movie that people just made for a job because David Ayer needed to prove he could direct big budget films? Will Smith needed a comeback?
I honestly think it was both.
I don't.
It's a huge blockbuster, so it's gonna be a cynical business anyways. But it seems like while everyone was making it, they were genuinely like their heart was in it.
Why?
Yeah, there was, I think I read something from like a cameraman that was talking about like Margot was so pumped every day to show up for this movie, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is like the one good thing to come out of this movie. Like, she was perfect casting as Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah. This is probably one of the best casting choices in the entire DC extended universe.
Yeah, I would get on board with that.
Oh Christ, you guys like her? Okay, we'll discuss that.
Whoa, you don't like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn?
I genuinely think it's great casting.
Are you guys kidding? She's awful. She's...
Shut up.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Have you seen Batman and Harley Quinn? Have you seen Tara Strong?
Like, the Birds of Prey movie was the most annoying experience of my life.
All right, let's get this out of the way now. Do you like Suicide Squad more than Birds of Prey?
Yes, I do.
What?
Whoa.
I actually don't.
Oh, okay, good. I also rewatched Birds of Prey today.
Oh.
I went deep. I saw every DCU Joker thing to prepare for this.
No, I do think that the David Ayer, Margot Robbie, Will Smith, like all the people, all the cast members and the crew that were involved, they got to a place where they're on the same page of making this thing.
I think you get the sense that, yeah, it didn't really get unpleasant until post, you know?
I do think that the one kind of saving grace is that passion that these actors and David Ayer that they put on screen and put into the camaraderie of everything. I do think some of that slips through at times.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so juvenile.
I mean, it's like, imagine if you moved to the shittiest part of LA with your friends, and it's like your life is miserable and where you live is shit, but you're with your friends, you know? I wouldn't relate to that.
Guys,
you know.
Broadway had way more heart than any cut of Suicide Squad. First off, we actually did things, and sometimes we sat down. We didn't always just stand around doing nothing.
Just walk.
Nothing.
Yeah, so the movie comes out and nobody likes it.
But it makes about as much money as Batman v Superman, and it wins the exact same amount of Oscars as Citizen Kane.
Yes, it does. So we should also say that this is an Academy Award winning film, Suicide Squad.
For Killer Croc, the one Batman villain no one was super excited to see make his debut in the movie, he got it. It's one Oscar.
The makeup of the character that everybody memes as like bad makeup choice won an Oscar for best makeup.
Killer Croc looks good.
But that's just one character. Like, they also, this same department that won the Oscar also made up the Joker, Mr. Damaged
that's
himself.
True. Yeah,
Yeah, that is
they
true.
put so much effort in the Killer Croc, and then they get to the Joker, and they're like, he's not in the movie. Just
Yeah. Have you guys seen like some of the behind the scenes of the Joker's look of this on YouTube, where the costume designer is like, we wanted to give the Joker like a trench coat, but we just thought it'd be too much. And I'm like, oh, you thought that'd be too much. Okay, I'm glad you were conservative with your choices.
No, I'm
for
glad that it
look.
wasn't flamboyant as fuck as like a Instagram
Teenager? Like a fucking posing teenager who's never like done a hard day's work in his life. Man, this movie's making me into a boomer. Like,
Let's start talking about the movie.
yes, it is. It is one of the most immediately bad movies. Like this and The Killing Joke are the two most immediately
The
bad
second
movies ever.
the needle drop, House of the Rising Sun, and it says
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
And you're
Then I'm like, no, not Louisiana. I already know
we're
Paul.
already like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's labeled as black site. But then we end up getting an establishing shot of the outside of the prison, and the prison is called Belle Reve.
Which is a prison from the comic.
But I'm like, why do we need a title card in the lower thirds addressing where we're at if 2 shots later we get information of what this place is?
I get why they did it, because I'll admit, I've seen this movie like 2 or 3 times. I didn't realize it was a CIA black site until this viewing. I just thought it was just a prison, so I guess that was for me.
Well, later on in the movie, she calls it a hole and throwing away the hole.
Let's just say I put him in the hole and threw away the hole.
That doesn't make no sense.
It's a bad prison for the worst criminals.
They're the bad guys.
For bad guys.
Just immediately, you're just like, what the hell is going on? Which is funny because the initial concept of this movie and the air cut, and it's actually preserved in the novelization. It's not supposed to be like, oh, we're in the prison, now we're in this, and intercutting around of like flashbacks. Like everything was told pretty chronologically.
Wait, so it starts with Harley Quinn being corrupted by the Joker?
That's one of the first scenes. It starts out with Enchantress going to the temple.
Wait, you're saying the air cut would just do everyone's backstories like in order at the beginning of the movie, and then it would do the actual story like 20 minutes in?
Yes.
That's stupid.
As fellow YouTuber Red Letter Media, Jay Bauman, pointed out, in concept, they're trying to do Sorcerer, which begins very similarly, where it's just a series of vignettes before, so you're introduced to the characters and how they get to...
Because the way this film is edited, there's not really a great place to transition to flashbacks, which we know because they use every place to transition to flashbacks,
Yes.
Well, it's funny, in the extended edition, you just get Harley Quinn like looking down a flight of stairs. Well, no, in both cuts. She's just looking down a flight of stairs, and it's like, I fell one.
Well, and also, okay, let's play this game. Without looking it up, how many songs do they play before the title, Suicide Squad?
All right, so they got House of the Rising Sun.
Yep.
Then they got You Don't Own Me.
Yep.
And then
Sympathy
they got
for the Devil.
Sympathy for the Devil.
Yep.
And then they got the song that they play during Deadshot's thing. Actually, no, before the title, it's 3.
Yep.
It's 3
Yeah,
tracks.
I believe it's 3.
In the trivia, it says it's 5.
What?
It doesn't list the 5, but I think I believe it.
Well, I guess
Because-
there's score in the beginning at the opening logos. There's some score.
When do they play I Started a Joke?
In the trailer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here you start to see, like, if there's a movie, again, Baz Luhrmann excluded, he's the only one that's allowed to do this, but if there's a movie that's playing like 15 tracks one after the other and stopping every 10 seconds and throwing every editing trick at the screen, it's usually Insecurity, and the movie's trying way too hard because it has no direction. And it reeks of that.
Hey, but I still love Django Unchained.
Oh, snap.
No, I do. That's my favorite Tarantino.
2 points about the music. I think there really are few things more like automatically disengaging in just cinema in general than a needle drop or just any kind of song, not score, but like a song that just feels totally out of sync with what you're watching. I think most of the most off-putting movies that I've seen people in the theater revolt at, it was scenes like that.
It's not really songs that are out of step with the images. It's just like, it's so telegraphing as to what is happening, because it's just like,
This is both, because this, like, it has Rising Sun, which is super obvious, and then you have completely contradictory, which is like, You Don't Know Me, I'm Not Your One Many Toys, feminist song, as this camera being directed and controlled and written by men is just like lusting over this woman, right?
Yes.
Like, constantly.
And you could say, yeah, I mean, it's stunningly obvious, like the connections that they're trying to make, but none of this was conceived with the songs in mind because, as Ayer claims, his cut had no needle drops, right?
Ah, go to hell, you dumbass.
Point number 2 is that it's very funny that for a movie that is so obsessed with like punk and grunge and like hip hop culture and like the iconography, most of the needle drops are classic rock. It's the most boomer shit.
It's super. It's for trailers. Like it's literally trailer music.
Well, it's just music that will like pop up automatically on your playlist when you listen to.
Not even a Cure playlist. Exactly. It's like this is the 70s Spotify playlist. You know, like just the greatest hits.
And it's all like oddly tragic. Like they're trying to play up the tragedy of these characters being like oppressed in prison, but like they're child murderers in the theatrical cut, at least. And so you're like, what am I supposed to be? The Ike Barinholtz character of the guard confuses the hell out of me. I don't really know if we're supposed to like him, if we're supposed to hate him. Is he?
No,
like
we're supposed to hate
guy?
him, but he leaves the movie, and there's nothing, like nothing happens to him. Like he's a very integral part of the first 45 minutes of this movie, and there is no payoff at all for his character.
He's like the character of Pompey in Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, where Pompey is such a big part of the first half of the play, and then he disappears from the second.
No, but that's actually a good point, and
it's Shakespearean. You're right.
It shows how much of a hack that guy was. Overrated.
A Shakespeare cut. Release the Shakespeare cut. It's 4 hours long.
It's a very bold choice. That only has paid off, I think, with the Guardians of the Galaxy, to be like, I'm gonna introduce like a bunch of characters, just a team of superheroes, and this was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna double the amount of characters from Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're all child murderers and terrorists. Right?
Wait, but the Suicide Squad does exactly that, and it pays it off very well with double the characters.
Yes, because Suicide Squad, well, this is James Gunn's thing. He's really good at that sensibility. And also the Suicide Squad didn't pussyfoot around the fact that these were horrible people. This movie's just kind of like, these are badasses at 30 minutes in. We're a family. Like,
they're just misunderstood.
I didn't mean to burn my children. And I'm like, dude, fuck off.
Yeah, no, own that.
Own that shit.
Own that you burned your children. What? No, but again, it's instructive because James Gunn and David Ayer, again, they both have made Suicide Squad movies, and this movie, whether David Ayer intended to or not, is kind of chasing Guardians. So again, James Gunn, when he like does movies about murderers and losers, he plays them off as jokes, and he also differentiates which one of them are like super irredeemable and which ones aren't. With David Ayer, you get kind of this generic, we're all murderers, but like we're all kind of sad about it. Like his idea of like living in South Central, right? Like this is Mean Streets to him. Like they're all part of the system, but they're also victims of the system because like how Robert De Niro is just a little joker in Mean Streets, Harley Quinn is just a little joker who may or may not have killed Robin.
Well, I think James Gunn definitely has a tighter grasp of, you know, the difference between a morally upstanding character and a likable character, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like James Gunn is really good about like taking characters that's like, these are very morally dubious people, but there's a heart inside of there, and the movie's about slowly digging up that heart,
or like what motivates them, what is their flaw that they need to confront.
This movie is just like the worst, most demented people ever, and then by the end, with seemingly no progression at all, Harley Quinn is like, you mess with my friends.
You mess with my friends.
I don't think the problem is like the ideas of, it's like some characters have more development than others. I think most of the problem lies in how the characters get to the resolution, because David Ayer's idea of characters progressing through something is them just walking and talking.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's no progression.
It's like the same amount of character development that you would see in Suburban Nights.
Yeah.
Like that's what large stretches of the movie feels like.
Except it's more repetitive. It's more repetitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Because from the beginning of the movie to the end, it's Amanda Waller tells us all the characters' backstories. Then all the characters tell us their backstories. Then all the characters tell us their backstories, and they're not even really growing. They're just repeating the same information over and over.
Sorry, I just got a very quick defense to a movie that I really like. Suburban Nights has vision, and Suburban Nights plot moves forward.
I would agree.
So it's better than Suicide
Nights
Squad.
is the strongest of the That Guy with the Glasses films. I would say the death of Ma T at the end of Suburban Nights.
Heartbreaking. Heart-wrenching. Yeah.
It tears your heart out. And that guy didn't even want to be there. So
Try not to cry challenge, genuinely.
Yeah, try not to cry challenge when they allow Lindsay Ellis to be Ellen Wee or whoever she is.
Alone Wee?
Oh boy. But I was going to say, I think, when you get beyond like just the concept and the sensibility, I think the thing that really seals the deal of this movie has some issues is the structure.
Yes.
Even if it hadn't been rearranged with the flashbacks and whatnot, fundamentally this movie is like about 50 minutes of setting up what is the team, and then 50 minutes of walking down an alley and punching blobs.
Exactly.
And going up an elevator. Don't forget going up the elevator.
Don't forget standing on a rooftop, then standing in a bar, then standing in a subway station.
It runs the gamut of standing.
Let's get into the beginning here. So we have future Academy Award winner Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Oh boy.
And Superman is dead. Because again, brilliant minds at Warner Brothers, they're creating a cinematic universe. Let's kill Superman in his second movie.
But also, all the villains of Batman have been around for years and years.
And also, literally, the Flash is introduced in costume in this movie for 1 second, just to explain why one of his villains has already been arrested.
Which was a reshoot.
Which it was a reshoot, and mind you, his solo movie does not come out for another 7 years. And in that solo movie, we have CGI deepfake Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang recreating this scene when he goes back in time from Suicide Squad. So Amanda Waller meets up with Sheriff Hopper and some guy who's not Clancy Brown.
This came out right at the same time as Stranger Things, so David
This
Harbour
was like weeks before Stranger Things hit, right?
Yeah, it came out technically before.
Dude, 2016 was a fucking cursed year.
Yeah, it was. It was a bad time. He basically is playing the same role in this movie that he is in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically the very last kind of anonymous, role like that he played. I mean, it's an interesting movie for all these people's careers, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Will Smith was kind of in a weird place.
I remember when they announced Will Smith was playing Deadshot, I'm like, as a comic book fan, I knew Deadshot was like he's the main character of Suicide Squad. But even then, I'm like, Will Smith in an ensemble movie? Like, what? Like, it didn't make sense.
Can they do that?
And I would argue it still really doesn't make sense in the movie why it's Will Smith. He doesn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, it's dissimilar from the kinds of characters and the kinds of movies he was doing. I think he just really wanted to do some sort of superhero movie, and they're just
He wanted money.
Yeah, he wanted money. and that's how they got him.
All right, so Amanda Waller, because Superman is dead, they need a team of metahumans to take out Superman, most of whom do not have superpowers.
Yes, which is a bold decision, to say the least, because it's just like El Diablo makes sense.
Enchantress makes sense. Really, you just need Enchantress.
Deadshot, I can kind of buy because he could shoot people really good.
Jake, can you imagine if there was a guy who could shoot Superman with a kryptonite bullet? He'd be a real good addition to the team.
But yes, I think I was listening to another podcast that pointed out this interesting observation that after having two movies where we have Zack Snyder's Superman, who was very clearly like, I don't work for you, I'm not on the government side, then we have the Suicide Squad film in which Amanda Waller proposes, what if Superman's not on our side?
She says, "What if he decided to murder the president?" Like what?
And I'm like,
It's
didn't that already happen? Wasn't there like a whole army of Superman-like beings that Superman may have snapped his neck?
Didn't they just blow up the Capitol?
Yeah, which just speaks to how well made the Superman was, that the characters in the universe are wondering, like, what if he did terrorism? Like, what, you know?
But guys, could you imagine what if Warner Brothers had hired an actor at this time to play like an evil Superman who could have been like a dictator in a Middle Eastern country and who pissed off Viola Davis's Amanda Waller? And he was explicitly positioned to be the evil Superman in, let's say, a 2022 film. Imagine if they had that guy on the payroll and they could have made him the villain in Suicide Squad. And then they could have had the Suicide Squad go up against an evil Superman with political overtones. Wouldn't that have been crazy if they could have just done that with, say, the biggest movie star in the world at that time?
Johnny Depp?
Yes, Johnny Depp as Mr. Mxyzptlk. Put him in a
Are you,
little hat.
is Troy saying that we should put Mordecai in the DCU?
Yes. Well, it should have been Suicide Squad versus Mordecai. Like, they all have little mustaches.
Now that I'd pay to see.
We've renamed the Superman movie to Superman Mordecai. Coming 2025.
Suicide Squad Izakai? More like Suicide Squad Mordecai.
Mordecai. Everyone retweet this if it's Mordecai Monday.
Mordecai Monday. Don't you hate when your mustache be keeping you down on Mordecai Monday? Did you know Gwyneth Paltrow hasn't made a non-MCU movie since Mordecai?
As it should be. I would do the same.
Well, you know what they say, less is Mordecai.
I like that one.
Arrest this man. Kill this guy.
That was a Mordecai-worthy joke. Mordecai would be proud of you.
Oh,
you know
I'm
what?
glad.
Since Joker sucks since this movie, let's make Mordecai our god and savior.
Oh, wait, what if we do a Mordecai podcast? Because then we only have to do one more episode, and then I don't have to do this anymore.
But I think what we're trying to say here is that between this film and that unholy thing that was supposed to be the epilogue of Batman Beyond, Amanda Waller, I don't think I've encountered a bigger dipshit in fiction.
Okay, you take that. Wait, what?
No, he's right.
Kind of.
The boy may be an idiot, but he is right.
No, Amanda
Well,
Waller in the
think about
comics
it.
is like one of the best
about
characters
it.
in the DC
Think
universe.
about it. No, okay, yeah, she's just like, okay, what if a god alien man decided to murder the president and establish a dictatorship?
Yeah.
I got this clown with a bat.
I've got this lady and I've got a heart in a box. Oh no, it didn't work.
Can we talk about how crazy it is that while she's talking, this movie cuts to Superman's funeral? Imagine if you did not see the other two movies and you just walk into this movie and it's just the funeral for some guy.
Well, if you know who Superman is, you're also, and you didn't see Batman v Superman, you're like, wait, what the fuck?
It is incredible how she is just like the problem in this movie, Enchantress, is a problem created by Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And then she goes, this is why we need the Suicide Squad. And everyone's like, this is very much the opposite of that.
That's why the structure is completely broken. Is it like it takes 30 minutes for her to get the team together, then one of them goes rogue, and then you have the movie, and then at the end of the movie, she gives Bruce Wayne all the information on the Suicide Squad, and he's like, get rid of it. It's a bad idea.
Never do it
And then
again.
the twist in the middle of the movie is that their first mission, which they have no idea is going to work, is to pick her up from work.
Yeah,
You know?
Basically.
And
The
again,
dumbest character.
James Gunn has a very good instinct for the characters that he picks, that like in Guardians and in the other Suicide Squad, they all have like equally, some are more overpowered than others, but nothing too crazy, and they're all kind of like quirky powers. This is like we have literal gods and demons that can bend the materials of the earth and then we have a boomerang guy. It's like,
or mental illness is my superpower kind of shit. Like,
yeah, that's the log line of our podcast. Yeah.
But this is like how this movie has already destroyed its own premise right out the gate. Because in the original, well, not the original Suicide Squad comic books, the 1980s one, which is what they're pulling from the John Ostrander years. Yes, they are all people with guns and people who know kung fu and who throw boomerangs, and they're sent to like assassinate dictators. Like they're sent to like kill people who are against U.S. interests. So it makes sense that all you need are people with guns. If you go there to kill Superman, no, they can't even kill Batman. They make a point of pointing out they can't even kill Batman. Like,
they can't even kill Batman. You're right.
Everything they do is a fuck up.
Harley Quinn gets punched in the face underwater.
By Batman.
yeah.
Can I just say how much it fucking pissed me off that Batman, the man who is traumatized of that his parents got jumped in an alleyway, jumps this fucking guy in an alleyway right in front of his daughter.
Which is really funny because in the novelization, so I'm like, did this exist like in script form and then they just didn't shoot it, or was this a reshoot? But apparently that scene was supposed to go like he hangs out with his daughter, and after the daughter leaves, Batman comes in and takes him in.
Yes,
quietly.
which is more in character.
But also, I don't know, it feels something wrong about Batman like surprising these people in their off hours, you know?
And then using his daughter as a human shield.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Using his daughter as a human shield after he already lost his own child to the Joker and maybe Harley Quinn. But this speaks to, I think, an important thing we need to talk about in regards to Ben Affleck's Batman, Jared Leto's Joker. Are they the worst Batman and Joker of all time because of their performances, or because they are the worst written versions of these characters? Like, oh my God, why would you write Batman and the Joker to like act this way?
Yes and yes.
I think in Jared Leto's case, it's more of a problem with the acting, but I think in Ben Affleck's case,
he's okay. He's there.
Ben Affleck cares.
I think he looks the part. I think he cares. It's just that the scenarios that they wrote for this version of Batman are so odd.
He's like the most childish version of Batman ever. Like he acts like a 12-year-old in every situation. He like will use children as human shields. He'll make fun of Wonder Woman's dead boyfriend to score points. Like he's just a child at all times.
Brand people again because this is cool.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stop laughing how like Deadshot is like crying in front of his daughter saying like we'll meet again, whatever, and Batman's in the background looking like this. He's not saying anything. He's just confusing with his mouth open, and it's just like he's thinking like I did it. I helped.
I saved the city.
I saved the city, and the little girl is like crying.
Oh, since we're talking about this scene, that After Effects snow plugin, Jake, that's special. You know, that's really. You don't see stuff like that in a movie every day. You know?
Well, yeah, you don't see that every day, but I was honestly too busy looking at Will Smith's performance in that scene, or the terrible child actress, I'm sorry, but and Will Smith going like, that's a lie. That's not true. That's a lie.
Mama says I can't live with you because you kill people.
That's not true. That's a lie. She's lying to you.
Yeah.
Just his performance right there is one of the weirdest delivery. It's almost like he's trying to act with the kid, but the kid is making him a worse actor. Too.
Imagine the performance that he gave at the Oscars with the slap in this scene. Just like, keep my fucking daughter out your fucking, you know, that would have gone hard. It would have been
but this
emotionally
speaks to
resonant.
the issue with Deadshot's character in the scene is that David Ayer or whoever is like, Deadshot has to be like, oh, your mother's a mess up. I should get custody. Like he's just a nice guy. He just happens to shoot
thing,
people.
because they cast Will Smith, and it's like, oh, now this is the main character, and he has to be likable and cool.
Yeah.
He says Wu-Tang Clan. I know what that is.
Yes, I can relate. Also, fun fact, Deadshot he started out as a Batman villain with a fancy top hat back in the 50s. So this is canon, though I still think it's funny that out of everyone in this movie, I think Deadshot hates Batman the most, considering Joker, Harley Quinn, and Killer Croc are in this movie.
That's a good point. But yeah, I mean, this whole movie happens because Amanda Waller's a dipshit and because Cara Delevingne is the worst archaeologist ever. Again, very wisely pointed out by Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
She sees an ancient piece of history and cracks
And breaks it. Just breaks it immediately.
Well, this gets into another thing where she's arguably too young to be everyone in this movie is too young to be a doctor or a colonel. There's no way you're telling me Cara Delevingne, Margot Robbie have made their ways through like grad school yet. And there's no way that Joel Kinnaman is a colonel. Like, everyone is too young.
Maybe she was doing like an online thesis, which would explain why she fucking sucks at archaeology.
Yeah, online only, so she didn't know that you're not supposed to twist the ancient relic's head. You know?
You should have known that.
She took it pass fail, you know. It was...
Usually when I just find something really cool, I break it immediately.
But getting into Enchantress as a character, it's just like...
What?
No, exactly. No, that is my problem with it. Like, you know nothing about her. All you know is that her and Rick Flag have gotten together.
Great chemistry.
Because Amanda Waller she's like, oh, I'll make him guard her, and they'll fall in love. And
it'll be the perfect way to control her. Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The fucking hula hooping that she's doing with her hips. I'm like, what is that? What kind of acting choice is that? Why?
No, it's not even an acting thing because it's also a special effects because it's like CG'd body.
Did you hear that in the audition process for this movie, David Ayer apparently made Cara Delevingne. Whoever. He made her do readings of Martha from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf 15 different ways to prove she could believe this part.
Wait, like the Elizabeth Taylor character?
Yeah, it's like the Elizabeth
One
Taylor.
of the best written characters of all time.
That's
for
what you had
Enchantress.
to do to give this garbage performance as this garbage character.
Okay, this is already one of my favorite episodes ever. Every bit of trivia is giving me life.
That's the weirdest casualty of this hastily re-edited version where you're just like...
A casualty of an otherwise great film.
Having watched the extended edition, I watched the extended edition to prepare for this.
I did too.
I scrubbed through the regular version. Let's put to bed the lie that movies like this, Batman v Superman, Justice League, everyone's like, no, but if you put in all the scenes that explain everything and you have context for everything everyone does, it's good. And it's like, no, it's just more boring.
Yeah, this obsession with re-editing bad movies to make it good is like, YouTubers think that they just invented this, but they've been doing this shit since director's cut were a thing, and it never fucking works.
It never works.
Unless maybe Caligula, because you just watched the new cut of Caligula.
Caligula is the sole exception. Went from terrible to masterpiece. Watch the ultimate cut. It's the best porno I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot.
Because people seem to think that like if something is recut and is non-functional in that way, and you add the scenes back in, it's just like, yes, ideas somewhat make more sense and some scenes flow together a little bit more, but you still have like the problem with like your Batman v Supermans or your Suicide Squads is like you still have your fundamental problems.
Yeah, I think especially in those two cases, like those are kind of classic like DVD bonus feature kind of cuts. Like they're not even really supposed to be substantially different, right?
But the extended edition of Suicide Squad has the idea scene.
I'm an idea.
Jared Leto's Joker is like the prime thing of this, where I was shocked comparing the two cuts. Almost all of his Joker scenes are somewhat acknowledged in the theatrical cut. Like, I don't think there's any one scene that is completely absent from the theatrical cut. They're just shorter. And so you're like, oh, when it's longer, he has more dialogue to expand on things. But everything he's saying is so banal and so edgy, because the real issue with all of the DCEU movies, at least the early ones, is they have like 5 really dark ideas, but they don't have a story. So they just keep circling the drain with these dark ideas. They don't have anything new to offer. There's nothing stylistically going on.
I mean, stylistically, it's terrible. Like, the cinematography and the color correction is atrocious.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Like, atrocious.
Oh yeah, fun fact for listeners, also this viewing is when I realized that this movie is shot on film.
What? Yeah, you guys are blowing my fucking mind right now.
You will believe that a movie shot on film looks like digital.
For all you hipsters that only shoot film, Suicide Squad and Jurassic World were shot on 35 millimeter.
Holy
Skyfall
shit.
was shot digital.
Okay, so I think I understand it now. I think like the DP, his light meter was broken, so it was always reading like 2 stops under for the entire movie. That's why it looked like that.
I wouldn't put it past him, you know.
Well, and the color correction is, what are you basing it on? Gray and
it's
poop.
the most brown movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We're basing the colors of the movie off of shit.
He went to Mexico and said, make it look like that because...
They're basically fighting giant turds.
Yes.
Every design in this movie is hideous, except maybe Killer Croc. Everything else is horrible.
Yeah.
But what about Katana?
This is Katana.
She's got my back, but she doesn't look good.
Wait, so should we go back into the team we've assembled here? We have Deadshot, Crack Marksman. We have the greatest character of all time, Harley Quinn. We have the actual greatest character of all time, Captain Boomerang.
No, Katana.
No. We have Katana.
This is Katana.
She's got my back. I would advise not being killed by her because her sword traps the souls of her
Who can
victims.
forget Rick Flag and Slipknot? Who the fuck is that?
Slipknot is the guy who dies.
Oh, yeah, right. He's the guy who dies after never having a line of dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, because you got to kill someone to establish that anyone could die in Suicide Squad. So they don't even give him a trading card intro like the rest of the characters. He just pops out, punches a woman in the face. Will Smith goes, I don't approve of people who randomly hit people in the face. And then he tries to run away and he blows up, which in the comics, he just loses a leg. But in the movie, he blows up. In the comics, his power is he climbs things and he makes ropes and he fought Firestorm, the nuclear man.
So we have all these bozos, plus the Joker.
El Diablo.
Yeah, that bozo, Mexican Joker, which is not me.
Did you feel seen?
Yeah.
Don't forget my personal favorite character, Scott Eastwood as GQ.
You're making stuff up. Yeah.
This is a character, and he dies when he blows up. When he blows up at the end.
Yeah. So you make a movie called The Suicide Squad, where the idea is the only people who can do this mission are expendable supervillains who you would blow up if they try to run away. But then they're supported by like 60 army guys who also all have guns. So why not just send in the 60 army guys who can do everything that they can do, and they're not like psychos.
And they're not trying to plot and scheme their way out of there, you know, or getting their deranged boyfriend to save you.
A U.S. Marine with a fucking gun. I bet you do not need Harley Quinn for this mission. This guy will do a better job.
What does the general say? It's like you picked up a bunch of gangbangers
and psychopaths
and the Joker's girlfriend.
And then he also ends that line with, "This makes no sense."
Psychotic, antisocial freaks. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then Amanda Waller doesn't explain really.
No, never.
No.
It all has to do with the approach, I think, because again, with the Suicide Squad, which, as we said, much more effective take on the same premise. There, it's recognized that this is a very silly idea that goes hand in hand with the very other silly ideas that the U.S. military has.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the whole joke, yeah.
Yeah, in this movie, I think you're supposed to be thinking, like, she's thinking outside but this is badass. I'm gonna get a, I'm gonna get a t-shirt from this.
Well, yeah, it's tone management.
But also it's heartbreaking because they're so expendable.
What are we, some kind of expendables?
Yeah, I cried for, what's his fucking name?
GQ?
Slipknot. Yeah,
he was so lovable when he just punched that lady and when he ran away.
And also, just everyone has the same facial hair, and everyone is dressed the same. Just very, very distinctive visual shorthands. Just very economical, storytelling.
Okay,
here.
but also question, why is Katana part of the team when she's not a supervillain?
Because she's got my back.
I also would point out that one member of the team, Killer Croc, who is not part of the Suicide Squad in the comic, he was put on the team because they wanted King Shark, but David Ayer was like, I don't want a CGI character. No one's going to make King Shark fun. And yet, Sylvester Stallone and James Gunn would prove him wrong a mere 5 years
later. The fucking
later.
Harley Quinn cartoon proved him wrong.
Yeah, King Shark's a lot of fun.
Many people have proved him wrong at this point.
Fake mustache.
Also, it should be pointed out that Harley Quinn did not join the Suicide Squad until like the New 52 reboot in like 2011, like 5 years before.
Oh, she's
this
not
movie
part of the
came out.
original team.
No, she's not. She has nothing to do with it. Hence, James Gunn, when he made his The Suicide Squad, he kind of just took Harley Quinn and put her over there. She's not really with the team in his movie.
Well, she gets put on the first team that are all supposed to die immediately.
Question, Troy. I read on, again, our trusty source Wikipedia that the Suicide Squad team began in the 50s?
Correct. I'm glad you asked, Paul. So, in the 1950s, the Task Force X Suicide Squad, led by Rick Flag Sr., just went on wacky adventures and nobody died. It's just, these are bad ideas. Like, why are you fighting a giant squid? Just a bad idea. So that was basically the idea. Then in the 80s, John Ostrander and I believe Kim Yates, who we discussed in our last episode, because they rebooted Suicide Squad to be working for Amanda Waller. They're taking out dictators, but they're all B-list, C-list villains. Like Penguin and Poison Ivy were on the team. Oracle, Barbara Gordon after The Killing Joke.
It's a fun premise. Like, you can, as we've seen, you can make it work. There's a good movie about this.
Yeah, it's very easy to make a good movie about this. But the minute you have them going up against the Enchantress, who was a low-level team member in the comics, she was never the villain.
But has the powers of Zeus.
Yeah, or Incubus.
Doesn't the devil guy call Incubus a puto?
Yes, I think he does call him that.
Oh,
Yeah.
puto, and I'm just like, oh, this is embarrassing. My country, what are you doing to it?
What have we done? Okay, but to be clear, in the 50s, it was called Suicide Squad.
It was called the Self-Unaliver Squad.
Yes, okay. So in the 1930s, there was a movie called The Suicide Squad, which was about adventurers. None of them committed suicide because...
So it's a reference to the movie.
Yeah, kind of. The 50s, so here's the thing about the 50s. They were not pussies. So they could use words like suicide to describe children's entertainment, and they knew that children would know not to unalive themselves just because they did that.
But this was the same era in which Batman was not allowed to be a vigilante, yes?
Yes, but Batman was still allowed to use the words kill.
Wait, was this before or after Frederick Wortham, Troy?
It was after Frederick Wortham. And it was run by Rick Flag Sr., and his son is Rick Flag Jr., who is the person who is in the Suicide Squad movie. But yes, point of order, people in the 50s didn't have an issue with people saying the word suicide. They had an issue with decapitated blonde women's heads being held, dripping on comic book covers.
Yeah.
To their credit, this idea that, like, now you can't say the word is like, that's 2010's wussery.
This movie is literally turning us into boomers.
Literally.
That is interesting context. So the Joker wasn't involved with Suicide Squad either,
The
right?
Joker had nothing to do with Suicide Squad.
So this movie is just ruining the Joker as like a freebie.
Well,
Like,
this movie is weird because they wouldn't commit to just doing another Batman movie right out of the gate. So you get a Batman-Superman team-up movie, and you get a Suicide Squad movie that is basically Batman.
Because you also can't explain Harley Quinn without explaining the Joker.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit about the ruining of the Mr. Joker by the coward David Ayer, because I think the first we see of him is like basically Mad Love in live action, right?
Yes.
Which, first of all, like in Mad Love is so well done. Like you totally see in a short span of time why such a professional woman would fall for such a deranged individual.
Yeah.
Here, like our friend Landon McDonald said, he pointed out Mark Hamill Joker, a little problem is like he's a little bit too intense, which is kind of like the new Pennywise.
In Return of the Joker, yeah.
In Return of the Joker, yeah. Here it's kind of like that in another sense where it's like this guy is immediately so creepy and off-putting and repugnant that it's like they have a very short amount of time to establish why they would fall in love, and it's just a fucking fail, right? That's
I mean, literally 10 seconds.
And also the circumstances of the relationship are muddied because in Mad Love, it's Harley Quinn that breaks out Joker, after they've you've had all these scenes of her falling in love with him.
No, she actually breaks out Joker in Mad Love because Batman has beat the crap out of him and he's literally not able
You
to
feel
move.
sympathetic for him. Like, it puts you in Harley's shoes, and like, it's
like in Mad Love, you kind of fall in love with the Joker in the original Mad Love. When he's talking about his dad in the circus and he's dropping his pants, like, you get they have a connection.
Because in Mad Love, like, the whole point is, like, we see so many abusive relationships, and we're like, why does she stay with him? Mad Love puts you in those shoes, and you're like, oh, here you're just like, why aren't you running away from this hobo, this weirdo?
This cuts to my issue with this version of Harley Quinn, and really most versions of Harley Quinn nowadays, is the Bruce Timm Baldini Harley Quinn is a deeply broken woman who is utterly devoted to the Joker, can't function, is barely able to make decisions for herself when he's not around. Like, it's a genuine codependency. In this movie, they're kind of doing that, but really she's just like wacky, like she's Deadpool, and you're like, why would someone who's just naturally Deadpool fall in love with the Joker when they can be their own joke? Like, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, why would she be, like, who gave her a PhD? Like, you don't get it. And
she's 26 in this movie, allegedly.
Yeah, and then, like, well, the editing here, like, I could not believe it was real. I could not believe that I was watching this in a multiplex. Like, with the little purple, you know what I'm talking about,
The
Jake.
accomplice to the murder of Robin, which David Ayer is very upset that they put that in.
Right, because his idea was that the reason why he has the grill is because Batman punched him really hard in the face after he killed Robin. No, this is even, okay, it gets even better, because it also is an origin as to why he has damage on his forehead, because the Joker was a beautiful human being before Batman punched him really hard in the face after he killed Robin. So then he got the grill, and because his face was fucked up, he wrote damaged on his forehead.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say the Batman tattoo damage.
That would be even better.
He meant to tattoo a bat, but he really screwed up.
I will find this interview, but I think he does say in one interview the tattoos are the result of a certain bat. So if I find this, I'll send it to you. If not,
well,
it's still very funny.
Oh, I just watched that interview. He was saying that grills were the result of a certain bat.
I thought that Batman was just carrying like a bat, like tattoo pin.
Every time he catches him, he puts another thing on him.
Yeah, it's like when he has the brander in Batman v Superman.
You gotta put another ha so I don't forget that you're the Joker.
You did this to my child.
You don't.
You know
look
what? I still
Jokery
don't.
enough.
I'm still not remembering. I'm just gonna write Joker in really big letters in your stomach.
The irony here is, as you see later in Birds of Prey, is that this version of the Joker and Harley Quinn actually do run around randomly tattooing people at whim. That's actually something he does in this universe, apparently. Going back to this Batman point, and again, this is why a dark and edgy DC universe does not work. Because what do you mean Batman? He doesn't kill, he just hurt him real bad. And now he's just fine with him running around after he killed his kid?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, on the Dark DC universe, that's a great point that I was going to touch on. It's like The Dark Knight, which is all four of us, one of our top 100 favorite movies, right?
Top 50.
Yeah, I would say top 50.
Yeah.
Masterpiece. But it inspired so many bad trends. And I think one of those bad trends is studios as well as filmmakers saying like, oh, now we can just make these movies like dark and fucked up, you know? And it's just like, but now you rewatch The Dark Knight and you're just like, no, this movie was successful because it was still, it's a balancing act of being smart and dark, but also fun and entertaining.
Yes.
Right? Like,
it has a through line that it follows without getting distracted by something cool, which is basically the defining nature of the Zack Snyder tenure.
It also works because it's about Batman, the Joker, and Two-Face. If The Flash popped up in a movie like The Dark Knight, it would be silly.
Well, yeah, because this movie is chasing not just the trends of like, you know, post Nolan like grim stuff, but it's also chasing the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
at the same time.
Horrible. And I mean, there's just some decisions here that I don't know if they're trying to be dark or funny. Like, for example, I think the tattoo that I hate the most in this Joker is like the smile that he has in his hand.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
That he covers himself. I'm just like, why don't you just smile? Like, what?
Because it's not big enough.
This Joker doesn't smile and he doesn't tell jokes. So what
he just
good
purrs
is he?
like a cat.
He barely laughs. He like lightly inhales. He laughs
Yeah.
like Carl Reiner in his old age.
Now, wait, didn't David Ayer say his laugh is supposed to be like Batman beat him up so bad that
Oh
like
my
his
God,
laugh
shut
box is tangy?
Because he's so damaged. But really what it boils down to is this performance is like 75% the grill is the thing. Like he's just
Yeah.
showing it off. That's what he's doing
Well,
in
it's
every shot.
him and no eyebrows, and he's just like, look how fucked up I am. Look how fucked up I look. Look how fucked up I sound. You don't know what I'm gonna do next. Well, let me guess, you're
I
gonna do
might
something
send a box of
unpredictable.
condoms to my co-stars. So yeah, I mean, this is a good time to mention the fucking insane behavior that we don't know if it's real or a marketing stunt, but it's cringe either way, right?
Yeah.
Remember how for years Warner Brothers said, no, we're going to do the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, but then we're also going to do a Jared Leto and Margot Robbie Joker
Yeah.
and Harley movie.
And maybe a Leo DiCaprio Joker movie.
And then Margot Robbie was quietly like, no, I'll just have my own.
But don't worry, we still get the Joker telling Batman that he's gonna jerk him off.
Who's gonna give you a reach around?
Joker is just driving his Lamborghini. This is the first time we see him really going after Batman after he killed the guy who was going to be Green Lantern in George Miller's Justice League comic. Killed him for trying to have sex with saying he should have sex with
for
Harley
entrapping him into wanting to have sex with Harley Quinn.
Quinn. Which is so uncomfortable.
I don't want no beef.
I don't want no beef. You want no beef?
You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
It feels like a scene from Training Day, which is so small for the Joker.
Well, the idea of the Joker like going around like talking to his drug pusher Common, you know, where he's just like, "I'm glad that you're back, Mr.
It's
J."
like, how's the take these days? Yeah.
This is the first Joker that is hilarious for the wrong reasons, right? Like whenever he's supposed to be intimidating, it's hilarious. Whenever he's supposed to be funny, actually, I don't think he ever says a single joke in this movie.
No, he doesn't. They try to they focus on every aspect. They make him a criminal. They make him a philosopher. They make him scary, but he's never
Where are the jokes
funny.
for the
Where
Joker?
are the jokes?
Where are the penguins for the penguin?
Harley Quinn? Harley Quinn does so many jokes. And again, she's crazier than him. He's just her driver. He's just her devoted boyfriend, which is so weird. I don't like that he actually likes Harley Quinn here.
And he's such a common criminal, and that's the
Well, yeah, that's the other thing.
well, that's the David Ayer twist to it, because he's like, well, I'm used to making movies about common criminals, cops, or the military.
I'm used to making movies about Common.
Yeah, so I need to have, yeah, exactly. So how do I make the Joker more common? Put Common in it.
Man, he's played by Common.
But no, I mean, it's just embarrassing because this guy in this movie is supposed to be the guy who's Batman's archenemy, who's killed Robin, who everyone is afraid of. But like, he just looks so like some guy who came off the street.
He reminds me of? He reminds me of Paris Franz.
Yeah,
from The Killing Joke. He's such a like non-issue because what does he do? Okay, so he's just like another mob guy, but he's more flamboyant about it, and his biggest joke is that he has a gun.
Yeah, he can only make jokes about menstruation.
And that's the other thing that people learned incorrectly from Heath Ledger's Joker, I guess, because the past couple incarnations of Joker, at least in live action form, with the exception of Barry Keoghan because he's barely in it, it's just that like the Joker, what is his scariest thing? He's a man with a gun.
He's a man with tattoos.
No, society is not mentioned once in this movie, except when Superman wants to murder the president.
You're 100% wrong. What's the scariest thing about the Joker is he has knives. That's what Heath Ledger taught us. So remember that scene where they lay out Heath Ledger's
No,
knives?
you're right. You're actually right.
What if Jared Leto just randomly lied down with a smile drawn on his face in front of a room of knives, baby clothes, and laptops?
What if he had more knives and bigger knives?
And bigger smiles.
And guns. Bigger knives. And guns.
He has a smile here and here and here. It's like at least 4 smiles.
Also, shout out to my man, Johnny Frost, the guy who's Joker's aide, who's like getting the Joker and everything with the beard. That's Johnny Frost. This was his first appearance since Brian Azzarello, the writer of Killing Joke last week. He created him to be the main character in that Joker graphic novel I mentioned.
No, and I'll tell you what makes this Joker so not intimidating. Since I moved to Joker City, USA, I have seen at least like 7 Jared Leto Jokers in the subway in the time that I've been here. I have not once been remotely felt like my life was in danger. If I saw Heath Ledger or even Cesar Romero in the street, I would shit my pants, right? Like,
what about Jack Nicholson dancing to Prince and ooping?
He's scary. I'll give you, he's scarier than this fucking poser guy who's clearly just some rich little twink 50-year-old boy wearing those grits. He's a
petulant, spoiled child.
Even when they're trying to do the twisting Harley Quinn, like giving her electroshock therapy.
Is that supposed to explain why she's crazy?
Yeah, because they're like, what Harley Quinn actually needs to be is legit crazy. But it's so weird. He's like electroshocking her, but he's putting the belt in her mouth. He's making her do the acid bath in Ace Chemicals, but he like jumps in after her because he actually cares about her. I don't know what's going on fully in that
actually
scene.
That acid scene is a great example of Jared Leto. So you can tell when an actor is just completely up his ass and just doing it for himself.
Yeah.
When you feel like there's no connection with anyone that he's talking to.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Don't give me that shit like, oh, but he's crazy. Because like all the other Jokers are crazy, but you feel like they're talking to someone.
They're reacting to somebody or someone.
Harley Quinn is just saying things and he's not reacting to anything. He's just like doing weird faces. It's horrible.
International treasure Margot Robbie is like acting her eyes out every time she looks at him. She's just in like awe of this guy.
Again, I don't like her in this movie because I think it's a horribly written role.
Well,
and again, she's very badly directed to overplay Harley Quinn.
She's doing the best she can, even though the camera is like leering at her.
Exactly, and there's that. But she is a great actress.
Yes.
In fact, most of this cast, except Jai Courtney, is pretty good.
Jai Courtney is he's decent as Captain Boomerang. I haven't seen him in a lot, but I think he's fun.
I mean, he's okay. This is maybe his best.
I legitimately think that this is Jai Courtney's best performance in a motion picture.
I think I'd agree with you. I think it's the one redeeming quality of this movie.
The whole Jai Courtney thing is that Jai Courtney was one of the many people that, you know, would appear in movies. Sam Worthington is one of those guys where it's just like, okay, here's the new, like, fresh face, boring, handsome dude. Let's try to make him a star. And in almost every Jai Courtney movie, like your A Good Day to Die Hard, he's just like there. Or Terminator Genesis,
like, he's not
just
terrible. He's just there. Yeah.
This time it's like, okay, there's an action. Okay, there's room for him to play and be kind of wacky and funny. And there's kind of an idea with Captain Boomerang where he's just like,
nothing.
Yeah, he's mugging the camera. He's fucking a pink unicorn. You know, he's cracking wise.
Jake, you're just saying that because you look like Captain Boomerang and you act like Captain Boomerang.
He might be my spirit animal, but this is a Joker podcast. But I do think that Jai Courtney does channel some Joker energy because this is the first part that I had seen him in a big movie where he's able to just fuck around. And I'm like, oh, I would actually like seeing him in more roles where he gets to, where it's like more structured, where it's not just like an afterthought.
You allow Jai Courtney to fuck around and play Captain Boomerang and you bring him back? and you kill him.
Which is why I'm kind of bummed about the Suicide Squad, because I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, out of that core group, I'm like, you should have kept him around.
We had something here.
We had something going. It was almost good.
I feel bad for Jai Courtney's career, because most of the time they just put him in the worst roles possible. And then this is like one that's at least promising, where you look at it and you're like, oh, you could do that. Great.
Jake smells an Oscar.
It was deeply funny to me that they still made Jai Courtney do the press tour for the Suicide Squad, the sequel, and they're like, "We're glad you're back."
That's why the marketing was genius. That's why the opening for that movie is so hilarious.
Yeah.
Unlike this movie, it's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not sad. It's just miserable.
It's literally one of the only movies that's ever managed to actually give me a headache. Like, usually people say give me a headache as hyperbole.
You
but...
went to the hospital because of Casino Royale 1967.
Well, that was different. That was acid reflux. Completely different situations, my friend.
Movies can create all kinds of physiological impact.
I gave that movie a 10 out of 10 for that. I will not give it this one a 10 out of 10.
I do want to point something out that I think Boomerang is an unhappy thing. As we said, this movie is trying to chase the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. But the way the screenplay is structured, you don't need most of these characters. You maybe need Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and Rick Flag, and Enchant. That's really it.
And I think El Diablo.
El Diablo, you could cut him out from the movie. He doesn't even kill Enchantress.
El Diablo is the heart of the movie. What are you talking about?
I'm going to say something mildly controversial here.
Oh,
but
no.
You know how in the beginning of the podcast where I say that some elements of the camaraderie of the behind the scenes shows in the movie at times, I think El Diablo is one of those things.
His story is so stupid.
He should have owned murdering the kids.
In his flashback, his wife looks at her husband, who has the power to set things on fire, and is tattooed to look like a skull. She's like, "Oh, you work a 9-to-5 job, right?" And then she's like, "Wait, you're a gangster?"
No, she goes like, I told you not to fucking do this shit again. And then he's like, I need to do this shit. And then he gets mad and blows up.
He burns himself to death when his whole superpower is being immune to fire.
Here's the thing about his character is that I don't think his character particularly makes that much sense. And there's an idea of him on a path of redemption. However, when he says, you guys are my family,
I lost one family, I ain't gonna lose another one.
Even though nothing in the movie like really justifies this reaction, I buy his performance where he genuinely believes that Will Smith is like his brother now because they were walking in a street.
Well, no, I do feel that actor's investment. No joke.
Jake, you know what you remind me of?
What?
We have a certain friend of the podcast who liked Star Wars Rogue One.
That was Jake.
Wait, no. Jake, do you like Star Wars Rogue One?
Not really, no. I did when it came out, and then when it came
out, I remember you texting me, this was cool, and I texted back, no. That was the end of that.
No, in Star Wars Rogue One, for months afterwards, everyone was like, oh God, look at his problems. But you know, when he says, the Force is with me, I am with the Force, it's such a powerful line reading.
Genuinely a good scene and a good idea.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It's the exact same problem as Suicide Squad, where you introduce Donnie Yen and all these people in the middle of the movie.
Walker,
and then what do you do? What do you do with all these people in the middle of the movie? You put them on a spaceship.
No, literally the only necessary character in this movie is Katana, because she's got my back.
I will say, on terms of the comedy score here, Joker makes 0 jokes, and that is a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will say, Margot Robbie does tell jokes. You know, they're kind of like
they're childish,
polite laugh, like golf clap.
I'm Harley Quinn. What is that? The scent of death?
Love your perfume. What is that? The scent of death?
Yes, I will say again, Margot, she's invested, and I do feel like, I mean, it is kind of self-conscious, but like you do feel like honestly, a lot of the stills from the movie are her like very intentionally trying to like hold poses and stuff like that. But the one line that did actually get a laugh out of me is Will Smith being like, You call that a motivational speech? You ever heard of Phil Jackson? Triangle, bitch.
You might want to work on your team motivation thing. You heard of Phil Jackson? Yeah. He's like the gold standard. Triangle, bitch.
Yeah, Triangle bitch is iconic.
Speaking of people ad-libbing, this scene always kind of cracks me up every time I watch it. It's when Deadshot is being recruited and he goes on this whole long monologue about the demands he wants to join the Suicide Squad, and he's doing it to Joel Kinnaman. And for reasons I cannot even fathom, they leave in every single take, and Joel Kinnaman is on the verge of laughing his ass off and breaking the take.
He's more Joker than the Joker.
Yeah, I'm like, he's having a better time. He's going to start laughing at nothing.
Because for Jared Leto, this is serious.
Yes, this is Jared Leto's second Oscar.
Oh, I will say the Joker quote I did write down is when he says, "Desire becomes surrender. Surrender becomes power.
Desire becomes surrender. Surrender becomes power."
Like he's Yoda.
Oh, that got you wet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yoda Joker. That should be our thumbnail. Yoda Joker.
Yoda Joker.
No, if I'm allowed to just make one last point about Jake's favorite character of all time, El Diablo.
Sure.
No hate to the actual Chicanos that are like this and act like this. There are plenty of them, I'm sure. But it is very annoying to me when there's a movie and the only Mexican character is being played like Jonah Hill in that scene from 22 Jump Street. You know what I'm talking about?
My name is Jeff.
Yeah. What's up, ese? It's a Mexican Wolverine. I'm just like, come on.
The thing with David Ayer is he thinks people like El Diablo are like everyone he's ever met. Allegedly. David Ayer's always like, I write characters like people I knew on the street, and they're broad stereotypes that aren't really plausible and feel like a bunch of tropes stapled together. And you're like, what?
Imagine if David Ayer saw me in my Joker getup, he'd be like, whoa, take it easy, man. Don't.
Whoa, you remind me of my best friend in high school.
A Mexican Joker? Here's my wallet, man.
You know, I was in a gang once, the U.S. Navy. Whoa.
Okay, another Joker, actually one other Joker thing I wrote down, because he goes in to save Harley.
Yeah.
Which is lame as fuck.
And, well, yeah, I was going to say the line he says in the helicopter, "I've got some grape soda on ice and a bearskin rug waiting." I don't know if this is Alpha Joker. I'm gonna venture to say.
This sounds like a Trump quote.
No. I think the Joker also had a sexual awakening to the 1963 Pink Panther, where Claudia Cardinal is on the rug.
Don't get me started. I'm gonna bump the table under me.
Well, because this is a boomer movie.
Is this Joker a simp?
Yeah, it sucks.
We've gone on for hours talking about his tattoos, how he's a tryhard, but fundamentally, this Joker is bad because 1, he fucks. 2, he's also a simp.
Yeah,
who still fucks.
A simp who fucks should not be nowhere near the Joker. Near the Joker.
Well, I think this is the funniest case because this is like the great debate over a possible Ayer cut over the theatrical cut. Is that everyone has always understood Joker and Harley to be an abusive relationship. This movie, it's not a healthy relationship, and there are moments of abuse. I don't want to downplay
but doesn't
that.
it end with like an iris in the shape of a heart?
Yeah, but like he cares about her throughout the whole movie,
and teenagers find it romantic. This was the very popular T-shirt in Hot Topic and Target.
Literally, because the great debate is: does Joker push Harley out of the helicopter when he comes to rescue her? And David Ayer will tell you, yeah, but you're watching the movie, and he does it to save her, and he's genuinely scared when she falls.
Here's another thing. If you've done enough research on the Ayer cut, which I did between last night.
Do your research.
Do your research. There's actually a leaked scene where it's pretty clear that he pushes her out. But I think the idea in one of the earlier cuts of the movie was that Joker was going to push her out because she's starting to care more about her friends than him. And so he pushes her out, and then he blows up. And then he joins Enchantress later on at the end of the movie, escapes, because the original ending of this movie, Joker was going to break into the prison just like in this version, but it wasn't going to be This is honestly kind of hilarious, the ending.
It's such a
The
weird ending.
Jake, did you actually watch these leaked scenes? Because I'm looking for
Yes.
them now, and I see people talking about them, but there's no link online to them.
Yeah, no, it's on YouTube. I watched it last night because it was supposed to be explicitly in the initial cut an abusive relationship. But one of the things that they found in the test screenings was that the teenagers liked the romance between Joker and Harley Quinn, and they wanted it to be more positive. And
Young
so they
people
tried
are
to
sick.
refinagle it into something that's dubious rather than what it is, and it's abusive. It's an abusive relationship.
And it destroys both of the characters.
I was a teenager when this came out. Why didn't they consult me? I wouldn't have signed up on this. Like,
I mean, they are teenagers. I mean, he's literally texting her.
Yes.
We get Joker text saying, "I'm coming for you."
yeah, and squirt emoji. No, I mean he's literally like
Eggplant.
semi-nude, like eggplant.
Well, that is the Joker's colors, isn't it? An eggplant.
Yes, it is.
The original ending to the movie was that Joker breaks into the prison and he holds a gun up to Harley Quinn's head, and then it cuts to black.
What?
Wow.
That's also a bad ending.
Which is why I thought it was really funny, because I'm just like, oh my god, this is like the most edgy, depressing.
No, that's the thing.
shit
It's
I've
like
ever
people
heard.
ask for the original cut of this movie, and I'm like, guys, I'm still sure it would suck. Like,
Yeah.
like part of this movie's problems do lie in an atrocious post-production with a lack of vision. But there are things in this movie that are fundamentally broken. Like, you can't change Joker's tattoos in post-production. Like,
You can't change the fact that this movie commits the great sin of showing us normal Joker. Ugh.
oh, right, that when they're dancing, yeah.
No, well, that's actually cool because that's a reference to an Alex Ross comic, and you get to see Margot Robbie in the original Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I
uniform.
like those 2.5 seconds. Like,
No, I'm talking about when Enchantress gives them all their heart's desire, and Harley Quinn's a
oh,
housewife.
fuck, that's terrifying.
With normal Joker.
Normal Joker is the scariest Joker
Why
in
do
this
we see
movie.
normal Joker?
It's so disturbing to see Jared Leto with his eyebrows. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and he's just leaning in, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it would work if he still looked like the Joker, except he was in like a suit.
I think it's literally just Jared Leto with the hair, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have the grill, but he has teeth that are not his real teeth. They're
No,
just
but otherwise,
slightly-
yeah, he just looks like Jared Leto.
He looks like Ernest in a suit. No, but I'm also like, why the fuck would this be Harley's fantasy?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is this? Like, just
Well,
being a
especially
boring
after
housewife?
she went on about like, own that shit. We don't get to be normal. Oh, I wish I had.
In Return of the Joker, they kind of did a burlesque of suburban life, but they were still the Joker and Harley Quinn. I don't think Harley wishes they were just two normal people with two normal kids. That's not where she's at. Meanwhile, Deadshot does not care about his daughter. He just wants to
Yeah,
shoot
he wants to
Batman
kill
in the
Batman,
face.
which is a problem when most of the movie is about, like, his sole motivation is to gain custody of his daughter.
And live in fear that Batman does not assault him in front of his children.
Can we talk about how the climax of this movie is the definition of none of these people have compatible skills? So Harley Quinn has to like hand Deadshot a gun.
It's
Captain
incredible,
Boomerang
yeah.
has to throw a thing.
And
like
then
they
Diablo
all-
just fights a god. He turns
Yeah.
into a mutant. Like,
and Killer Croc swims.
Yeah, when the El Diablo dies and blows up, this is confusing because Scott Eastwood puts the bomb underneath and they're like, you gotta blow it now. Do it, blow it. And then you just see fucking Scott Eastwood putting the bomb under and he just blows up with the thing. And you're just like, wait, why was the bomb already set up? What? He's just dead now and we're just not gonna talk about it?
Apparently, being in the U.S. Army is like being some sort of suicide squad.
I guess.
Written by a veteran.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Do we want to do final thoughts or we want to talk about the Snyder Cut first?
Well, we got to talk about Birds of Prey, the music video, and the Snyder Cut.
Birds of Prey, bad. Snyder Cut, bad. Music video, bad.
Birds of Prey basically completely retools the Joker and Harley Quinn relationship. At the beginning of the movie, you get an animated recap of their whole dynamic where he looks like normal Joker, but then when you see him later in Birds of Prey, he looks like Jared Leto Joker. And basically, Harley Quinn leaves him because he steals all her ideas and takes credit for it. And then she gets back at him by blowing up Ace Chemical, which tells everyone that she's no longer with the Joker. She does not kill the Joker, Jake, in Birds of Prey. That is not something that happens in that movie.
I would not talk about it if that was the case. That would be, yeah. I don't advocate Joker violence.
But no, only Jared Leto stand-ins were used for Birds of Prey. But he finally would make a return as truly a we live in a society.
In a scene that was new, that was setting up a universe that we knew was never gonna happen.
Exactly.
Zack Snyder, Jake, put clapping sound effects here. Like, this man is a fucking visionary.
Oh, are we finally going to talk about Zack Snyder in the podcast? Well,
yeah, so in the Snyder Cut, the Joker appears, checking our Joker clock. In the Snyder Cut, the Joker appears at 3 hours and 45 minutes.
And he looks like Billy Ray Cyrus with
does.
He's sitting on a car and he's out of focus.
And he's got ketchup all over his face.
His Joker costume is a fucking a military vest.
Military fatigues. He just like a
Classic.
sloppy Joe.
He is undamaged. He is no longer tattooed, which is I don't know how that works.
Wait, okay, question. So for people who have not seen the majesty of the Snyder Cut, this is in the alternate reality where Superman becomes an incel, so he's evil, so he's helped Darkseid take over the world. So Batman's made up this team of ragtag characters. Is the Joker already part of this team, or has Batman just stumbled upon him sitting on a...
I thought he just found him. Like, oh, there he is. Like,
Joker's already part of the team. They've been a part of the team, but they're at each other's throats. It's implied.
They're talking like they don't have this conversation every day, though. But maybe they do.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they're just constantly threatening to give each other a reach around.
Who's gonna give you a reach around?
I genuinely think he just found him kind of like how last week I'm like walking around New York and I'm like, oh, there's Patrick H. Willems. You know?
Well, didn't Zack Snyder say his dream was, and he said this before he did the Snyder Cut, but I think this scene is kind of tying into it. I think Zack Snyder said his dream project was to do a comic book mini-series that takes place in this timeline of the Snyderverse, where Batman, it's like the Last Supper, where Batman and the Joker are eating dinner and they're Rashomaning Robin's death. And they're going, I remember Robin's death like this. And Joker's like, I remember Robin's death like this, which kind of ties into the idea that this Joker may have killed Robin on accident because he seems a little upset about both Robin's death and Harley Quinn's death. Like, this Joker
Sorry
cares.
for doing crime, Batman.
Yeah, you shouldn't have sent a boy wonder to do a man's job.
Why you sent a boy wonder to do a man's job?
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Funny little anecdote. Just today, I was in my editing workshop. The professor asks, what's the slowest paced movie you've ever seen? I say, I don't know, probably the Turin Horse. Guy next to me goes, the Snyder Cut. And I'm like, correct.
And then they kicked your pretentious ass out of there.
It's true. But I will give this Joker 2 points. First of all, he laughs more. It sounds like a laugh, sort of.
And he talks like Richard Nixon.
He sounds like somebody.
Like Nixon. I'm not a
Oh yeah, the voice Jared Leto does as Joker, it's weird. He has a normal voice, but then he starts talking like this.
Poor Lois.
How she suffered so.
And then he starts talking.
What about your Batman Boy Wonder?
Just zero thought in this performance beyond he's just crazy and he's an idea.
It is slightly more. That is the thing.
Oh my God, Paul's gonna give the Joker a passing grade.
Wading through the depths of Suicide Squad is basically the only thing that can get you to appreciate this scene in the Snyder Cut. And the other thing, he sort of makes a joke. Sort of. He says, "A truce, Bruce."
A truce, Bruce.
Okay, can we talk about this? Do we like that Lex Luthor and the Joker, like, just know who Superman and Batman are in the Snyderverse? Like,
no.
It just kind of feels like, why would they?
Yeah, I mean, that's the least of this universe's problems, but I don't particularly care for it.
It feels like it's breaking K-Fabi. Like, in the comics, it feels like Joker doesn't care who Batman is, or even in Return of the Joker, he's just like, oh, that's stupid.
Well, I would say if we're talking about modern stuff and people want to see a good Joker Harley Quinn thing, Watch the Harley Quinn show. I thought it was gonna suck, but it's actually really funny.
Watch the first 2 seasons of the Harley Quinn show.
I haven't seen the third one. I heard it
fall
fell
off
off.
is steep. Third one's okay. I couldn't finish the fourth one. The original showrunners left because they made Abbott Elementary or something. So it's not them. But no, the Batman Joker scene in Snyder Cut, like Ben Affleck and Jared Leto are not in the same place, but I will sit this. I am happy as a Joker fan and as a Batman fan, as much as I don't like these versions, I'm glad that they do have a scene together.
Where the Joker says he's gonna jerk him off, and then Batman's like, I will fucking kill you.
Make no mistake, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah, where the Joker's, it's terrible. It fully cements that they are the worst versions. Batman comes off so impotent in this scene that I don't even think the Joker could give him what he said he would give him.
The Joker in the desert looks wrong to me.
So, final thoughts?
R.I.P. to Jared Leto, the only guy to not win an Oscar for playing the Joker in the 21st century.
R.I.P.
So yes, first of all, R.I.P. Jared Leto. You're a very uncontroversial man. We'll miss you. So the Joker is one of my favorite characters in fiction, but this incarnation of the Joker is maybe one of my least favorite characters in fiction. I'm gonna median it out, between a 0 that this character is and the 10 that the Joker is. I'll say a 5.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Fuck that. It is a 1 out of 10. This is horrible. It does not work. Horrible performance. The movie is also a 1 out of 10. Do I need to say anything? It's probably my least favorite superhero movie of all time. It's gonna sound like I say this a lot because of the Casino Royale episode, but I swear my list is not that big. It's just this podcast is an act of masochism.
We get close to the fire in this podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty much if you want to study, you know how in film schools they're I don't know, they show you The Godfather or one of those bullshit things where it's all working in harmony. This is a perfect movie to show for nothing working in harmony. The cinematography is not servicing anything. The costumes aren't servicing anything. All the designs are horrible. The screenplay is fundamentally broken. The dialogue is horrible. The characters are horrible. The fucking editing is the kiss of death. It's one of the most atrocious, visionless, messy post-production processes you'll ever see in your fucking life. But that's not all of it. Like we've said, this is a fundamentally broken movie to the core. It was just made so much worse by really bad decisions by studio executives. So yeah, 1 out of 10 for this movie. I do not like it. It has stained the name of Joker. It made him into a simp and a not a virgin. Fuck this.
Not a virgin. Not my Joker.
Not my Joker. We don't want it, and it's not good. It's
not good. They're not sending their best Jokers.
And that's my thought.
Cool.
Paul?
Yeah, not great. 1 out of 10.
Is that it? Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yeah.
As they say.
As the Joker said.
Yeah. This is the worst Joker of all time. I don't think that's a shock to anyone. If you have a bunch of good performances, you do need to have the one that's what not to do. And the one saving grace of this Joker is that it's not unmemorable. It is a spectacular disaster of just an actor who is completely out of touch and is in his own head. The design is ill-conceived. I'll probably give it a 1. And that 1 star is just because it's something that's just so out there. You can never get the image of that first image of Jared Leto grabbing his face as the Joker out of your head.
It is nightmare fuel.
It's the definition of cringe. Not good. The movie is a hacked together, jumbled mess. We didn't even get to some of the other bizarre editing choices where they reveal the twist of the movie.
I didn't even get it.
I don't even remember. I just watched it.
The team must have been having fun. And yeah, like I said before, the guy who plays El Diablo, I could see his passion on the screen. And Margot Robbie, they cared. David Ayer cared. Obviously, during the filming process of this movie. And I guess that's something. Yes, this movie fucking sucks. I'm sorry to say. Even though that...
Why are you sorry to say?
Well, it's frustrating because you could tell that, like, the people cared.
Yeah, but it's not an indie, like, labor of love.
No, it isn't.
Oh, yeah. Also, for the record, this movie cost only a little less than The Dark Knight to produce, for perspective.
Well, that's insane.
Not good. 1 out of 5.
Great. All right. Brevity is the soul of wit, but this Joker isn't funny. So let's get into it. This is the worst goddamn Joker I've ever seen in my goddamn life. I didn't know it was possible to make a Joker this bad. When the movie ended, I was sitting behind this couple watching it, and the couple turned to each other and immediately go, Harley Quinn was good. I really didn't like that Joker. And I'm like, correct.
I didn't love that Joker.
Oh, that Joker. No, this is the worst Joker ever. He's not funny. He's not unique. I will push back against the idea he's memorable in any cut of this movie. Jared Leto just went after a very surface level psychology of the Joker. He's very surface level, just like the rest of this DC universe. It's a try hard, gritty DC universe. He's a tough guy who's done all these tough things, but you don't buy him as tough because he seems like such a grounded, down-to-earth wimp. He's not funny. He's not scary. He's boring. He does everything you expect of the Joker, but he has no flair and he has no style. And what is the Joker without flair and style? A waste of space. Thank God he has been consigned to Morbin time and he's away from our fair Joker.
Yeah.
He's just the worst frickin' Joker in every single appearance. Props to Margot Robbie for being such a good Harley Quinn opposite such a terrible Joker. I still contend her best appearance as Harley Quinn is in The Wolf of Wall Street.
That is true.
Yes, I think you could even argue Leonardo DiCaprio is a better Joker in that movie than Jared Leto ever was.
Just in life, he's a better Joker.
He's just a better Joker. So I give Jared Leto, I genuinely don't know you could be a worse Joker than what Jared Leto did here. This is like bare bones Joker. 1 out of 10. The movie feels like it was made by AI. I don't buy that anyone had an artistic vision.
The first edited by AI, for sure.
This is the most generic garbage movie I could ever think of. Literally, it's just introducing the characters, and then instead of giving them an arc, you're constantly reintroducing the characters to cover for the fact that your movie doesn't start until 45 minutes into it, and it's just people walking and talking and pointing guns at plant people, going up to elevators and looking at computers. There is nothing interesting here. There is nothing compelling here. It is boring. I'll give this for Zack Snyder. A lot of the times, big swing. You can't say most of his movies are boring. This movie, dull as dirt. I don't believe that anyone was in this for the art. I believe they literally just cobbled together a superhero movie. Like, you have to watch Fan Four Stick to see a movie just as bare bones and as dry and as nothing as the 2016 Suicide Squad. There is no cut that can rescue this movie. It has no ideas to work with, and I'm an easy mark for this crap. If they had said, oh, it's in Midway City, let's have Hawkman and Hawkgirl show up, because they show up in Midway City, I would have gone, that's something, but there was no something. There is nothing here. It is a boring waste of time. To have this movie on in the background is just to rearrange the pixels on your TV just so the image does not burn into your screen, because why would you want it to? If it's not a half-star movie, it's because it's not interesting enough to be a half-star movie. 1 out of 5. May God have mercy on your soul. I did quite enjoy the sequel.
We did it, and Jan is about to get kicked out.
I'm about to get kicked out of Neo Gotham, but that's okay because I am so lubed up and ready to finally
to settle into your cozy new home and watch a little children's entertainment.
Yes.
With not a cartoon Joker, but a toy Joker.
Yes, played by a certain Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Fun fact, both of this movie and our next week's movie were produced by Steve Mnuchin.
Oh yeah, if we needed extra, yeah, we literally went from Joker maybe sort of birthing the Trump era to a a secretary from the Trump administration producing Joker movies.
And me interning or having offers to intern on all of them.
Well, in the wise words of a very wise YouTuber, next week we have the worst Joker.
Tune in next week for some Legos. Lego Batman, Lego Joker.
Lego my ego.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye. I started a podcast.
All my friends are podcasts, make it slow.
All my friends just like to scratch my balls.
Jared Leto dropped off a dead pig on my lawn.